Good morning. We start with Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga from the small booklet. From the heart of the Savior of 100 deities of Tushita, on a peak of cloud resembling a cloud of extremely white fresh curd, King of Dhamma, omniscient Losandrapa, please come here together with your sons. In the sky before me, on a lion throne, lotus and moon, my perfect pure Guru smiles with delight. Supreme field of merit for my mind of faith, please abide for the 100 eons to spread the teachings. Your holy mind and intelligence that understands the full extent of objects to be known. Your holy speech with its excellent explanations is an ear ornament for those of good fortune. Your holy body is radiantly beautiful with glory renowned. To you who are meaningful to see, hear, and remember, I prostrate. Pleasing drinking water, various flowers, fragrant incense, lice, sandal waters, and so forth. Ocean of cloud-like offerings, both actually arranged and mentally emanated. I offer to you the supreme field of merit. Whatever non-virtue of body, speech, and mind, especially those opposite to the three vows that I have collected from beginningless time, I confess each and every one with fervent regret from my heart. You strove for much learning and practice in this degenerate age, and made your freedoms and richnesses meaningful by abandoning the 8 worldly concerns. Savior, we sincerely rejoice in your extensive deeds. Perfect, pure, holy gurus from the billowing clouds of wisdom and compassion in the sky of Dharmakaya, please let fall a rain of profound, extensive Dharma upon the receptacle of those to be subdued exactly as they need. May whatever virtue I have collected benefit the teachings and all transmigratory beings, and in particular may it cause the essence of perfect pure Losandrapa's teachings to shine forever. Sajibuki Chushi Meto Tramri Rablishi Nidegyembadi Sangye Jindu Mideuwa Hidrokunanga Shila Chupashu. By the merits of offering this mandala to Lama Tsongkhapa and his 2 sons, may I, my family members, and all sentient beings be able to meet, practice, and actualize the teachings of Victorious One Losandrapa, who had a morality of eminently pure way of life, was courageous and extensive conduct of the sons of the Victorious Ones, and accomplished the yoga of 2 stages of supreme bliss and emptiness. Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami. By the force of having fervently requested in this way, hollow beams of white light are emitted from the hearts of the perfect pure Father and Son, and combining into one enter my crown. White nectar, the color of milk, flows from the opening of tube of white light, cleansing all my sicknesses, spirit harms, negative karmas, obscurations, and their imprints without exception. My body becomes as pure and clear as crystal. Now we recite 5-line Mixema together 3 times on the next page. Migmet sewe ten chen chen rezi, drime gempe wampo jampel ya, dupo malu jonze sawenda, kache gepe tsungen tsongkapa, losandra pe shabla sowade. Migmet sewe ten chen chen rezi, drime gempe wampo jampel ya, dupo malu jonze sawenda, Gache gepe tsungen tsongkapa, losandra pe shabla sowade. Migme tsewe ten chen chen rezi, drime gempe wampo jampeliang, dupo malu jonze sawenda, gache gepe tsungen tsongkapa, losandra pe shabla sowade. And a prayer for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Fearless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, victorious Losang father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the object of refuge of infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now, holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings. Through explanation and practice, you are the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and for other living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss! Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels, and the great waves of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of a reincarnation swiftly beam in a glory for fortunate disciples.
Sanji Chedan Sojin Chonumla Chanju Pardu Dami Kyabsunchi Dagi Chushi Gebanda Dag Drolam Penshi Sanjin Drupara Sho Sanji Chedan Sojin Chonumla Chanju Pardu Dami Kyabsunchi Dagi Chushi Gebanda Dagi Drolam Penshi Sanjin Drupara Sho Sanji Chedan Sojin Chonumla Chanchu Pardu Dani Kyabsun Dagi Chushi Yebanda Dag Drolam Benshi Sanjin Drupara Sho Kangi Tuzini Zone Dawa Tamche Pambichere Tambichun Denze Kwadam Dela Chanze Lo Namu laye ke nam lo dan jeng trimo da da mi ke nam dan ro kun ji danam chizam ba tam ji ke du da gi che den do. Good morning everyone. Shobadele kendo chla.
Shobadele kena.
Ni samlo na la kadina ngungi gyagar ki tupchin yora tupchin gyachu sela soba. Tupchin gyachu tzugi chi ani subi namba jora.
Ja, die Abramson, die Drupchen, die Purpakashi Kunso, die Zogtang.
Yogi.
Alle Drupchen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ani tachi sobda jora. Sobda di gen doji kyaran rawo doji yigiri samgwardangi kadena. Chamushanga samgwarda. Samnala chik chardan jora da.
Die Labgare.
La.
Die Labgare.
Of course, you are translator.
Okay, den jag har gått kedanki samlota samsamti Drupchen peki kola samgiyares.
Trupchen tuzu keran roji yosari samgores tangi.
Ah.
Because sobda jora.
So I have a thought that the great Mahasiddhas, they are maybe of a physical shape similar to yourselves. Keran so lapin. Ngayin lapkime.
This is wrong.
Okay, Genlo's insisting I say it. So he said that it sometimes has the thought that the Mahasiddhas have it's would literally shape similar to the translator to myself.
Looks him. Yeah. Big body or very tall and big nose and less hair. Good. I think one is some of the because the chigla kare pasha karas the tanga dozu zero tanga dozu layachi kuzu chembo ani shang dozu nau dozu chembo ani chi ulaya trashu mejo tindi janja shang yora kunda shang tindi shang yora tindi pasha ro ingira azra.
And so, of course, these great Mahasiddhas from the past, we don't know them directly today, but we know them through their images, how they've been rendered in tankas, in paintings. So there we see that they seem to have big bodies, big noses, bald heads.
The number sanji church, and on the Ruruchia, the non-church Kodoji Chedutini, on the Delia Ruruche, Karanso Imbana Trinta, Sanimagi, Konsang, Tuzuyapu, the Kokopti Simni, and Dela Pepper was raw. Kaji Kazan and then Nalanda Garden, ya Sama Songengi, and Ajala. She comes dele pevendo, Kazing on the Nalanda Garden, Sama Soroshes on Konzo, and Derin dele pevshas. Any trouble Sabbath in the Imat Shetan Toman in India Kashi those. Things that are kanjing on the Ruruchiadi, Nanchugi Kodoji chet, Chik Nanchu Tony, Chik Sozle, Kodozera, Logejera, Nasamero.
Gotok Sena? Gotok?
Nanchu. Yeah.
Hagoye. Yamene Nangcha.
Yeah, Hakoyak chet.
Today, Sunday, is a day of rest. People generally don't have work. And you all have come here today for varying reasons. Some perhaps have just come to visit. Others I know come here to help out, to volunteer. So for example, there's a group of 4 women. I know that you come every Sunday, or I know you from coming every Sunday, and you beautify our garden with statues of the Nalanda Pandits. And there are some others here who also do other work, other voluntary work around the place. So you come here for varying reasons, but at the heart of it, the reason for coming on your day of rest is to gain a deeper understanding of Buddhism.
Terda tanganzu nanchu the tomang nanchu sul tembasanada nanchu taji and lambda luxedo in the temple body sanji chomden de with the shajam and the conchagoros the kongi and siyazo di ro nanchu chik pige kita nimbuk the karsigores laundi nganzu zu the sochak tinani sochak nani dan draw migi ani lusemi the zu lusemi dra lusemi gi tolaya ani nuba mixawach yobati kong ki signi ani di ya kongbal tu tanya di ya gi tanya di tone rang zamayimba ani chik shen la ya pento chedang ga rimbadi 아니 다 개첨부 쉬우지 식치니 아니 디 톨야 다 아니 지티샤진 다 난슈 송구도 왔으러 좀 된디 난슈 송야디 딘디직 톤이 난슈 송구요레스
Buddha Shakyamuni is the founder teacher of Buddhism in our world. And he presented Buddhism in a very broad and expansive manner, presenting the various conducts of body, speech, and mind to engage in so as to cultivate the mental paths that lead one to liberation and enlightenment. But the very essence of, or the very heart of Buddhism is non-harmfulness, not causing any harm with one's body or mind. So in particular, towards those who have no power, who have no authority, not to harm them, but rather actually to bring benefit to others. So this is the very essence of Buddhism.
terda nganzuda lugi tonin shebanda chida mangbu shojida ta lugi nangita nubat ze mandawa ro ani sumjen shenla mebi ge nganzu lugi ani zela ya nubat mixawa de yoba chik song yores tita peshe tensan tsenri bagya ngada tsenri shingma da ina ta songu yores yacha yatam pe nganzu leba dojna and lebek tsade tundrugi lebek tsada mandawa nganzula ya lebek tsa mixawa chi yobati ngus tongu yorasra dinza di toni ani tsa di toni tsa di nibadi toni teni pita lengi mambu ro ani pa njetuya dindi yoro ta di niba yor mado ani tambuni ani niba di yons mun de dindi debda masuna yons mun de dindi chago maras ta niba di yovanza niba de ya roba kargo niba di jondar kanchen niba di ya tengo du dindi tola ya samtango rasra di chomden di goma tagrang roch yores manzule niba kan yobadi ya kompal kandas tango dos ro di tablam di kona rangi pe nyongwe toni ani sikcheni nyongten pena temba tambu samaji ko lo trugrin la ya ani gom gyamne ro kawachen gom gyamne teni nibadi ten yoros dinashingi da jinju gi menam la ya ani lobti dinangora daro
There's a lot to say, but let's start by looking at the body, and there's plenty that can be said on this too. So I'm not skilled in science by any means, but I know science or scientists have researched the bodies of humans and animals and come to really quite a good understanding of the inner workings of the human body and the bodies of animals, and come to understand how behavior follows, or how one's behavior and one's body are related, in that by observing the brain and the activities of the nervous system and so forth, the scientists have an understanding of human behavior and on a physical level. So Buddha Shakyamuni, when he taught the Buddha Dharma, he taught about the great capacity that beings actually have. And so he taught from his own experience. So we know from his biography that he engaged in extensive meditation, and thereafter, based on his realization, he taught his students, taught them about the great capacity that they have as human beings to bring benefit or to bring harm. That's all.
Terda tinzada tachda nubi rik ta mangbu shoji yoras la ta inaya ta yakshu di karyoras la ni nganzu milaya anchik sosu chikpugi mitsen dig ched mayimba shen mangbu shoji la ya pento tuya ga nubachik yoras ra sosu kawal denaya anin rosa digi yul dela ya pento che tuya desa digi lomba de la ya pento chi tu ya ani chi susu nyendem la yobi gi chi medan so chak chama lo la ba chi ani chamgyon che tu ya gi niba chi mila mixage yorwas tinza di sar du tyen ya gi chedo ani chomden digi kuli shu kyen yo sares.
So there are many different types of capacities or potentials that beings have. But amongst the varying capacities that beings have, Buddha Shakyamuni identified humans as being unique. And in particular, what makes humans unique is this remarkable intelligence that we have through which we can bring such benefit to others. So we can, through our remarkable human capacity, can have a lasting benefit on those immediately around us, on our society more in general, and in fact on our entire nation or even beyond our nation. So this is something, this capacity to be of benefit in such a variety of ways is something really quite unique to humans. And again, humans can be of benefit to those around them. They can travel to another nation and be of great benefit there too. So this is a remarkable capacity that humans and humans alone have. That's okay.
Chidangi chik pina suzugi ta rik chikpa ra suzu rik chikpa anjik suzu ni suzugi pigi karso ta sasang tabu ani suzu pugu putu la ya sewa chakpa di ani tundru rik mangbu shoji la ya yorwas tira ti migi miksegi tumo mayimbi nubajik chagi yo marwas ta migi tumo mayimbi nubadi 지 랑기 년 이마인다 소소다 릭지 이마인 메발야 탐체라 피기 컴디 때나 세와 짱투야 니바지 밀려요레스 더 좀된 디 개첨부 쇼지 쓰기도 하다 디 개첨부 쇼지 쓰기도
To be very clear, it's not that animals lack capacity in this regard. Undoubtedly, animals of varying types can and do bring benefit to those within their group, within their flock or their pride or with their pack. They certainly do bring benefit to their community. And also if they have pups or kittens of any type, or any children, they care for them with great tenderness. So this we see in the animal kingdom. Now humans can replicate that too in the extent of towards their immediate family, their immediate group. They certainly can take care of them and impact with them with kindness and benefit. But humans, though, are unique in being able to, in having the capacity to have these feelings of tenderness and act on them towards all beings, not just those in their immediate group, as with an animal in their pride or their pack, but to those that they do not know, perhaps even those that they have some disdain for. They can still feel care and compassion and want to help them and engage in doing them. So Buddha emphasized this unique characteristic of human beings. That's all.
난직 둘러들 만나를 간디 좀된디 진주 임비 그랬더라 좀된디 진주 임비 그랬 더 좀된디 아니 세번 제단디 아니 딘디진난 거서 땅원이 직 소수 톱나 마톱나 아니 좀된디 다 진주인자 진주인세 단 잠블리라마 테라다라 고르스 둘러 만라지 간진다 잠블링이 길에가 좀된디 진주인스마 태온디 아니 좀된 디 제바 칸 남바디 야차 야탐바다 용구 마르데네 가주 톱톱라 소수문이 가주 톱톱디 아니 좀된 디 제바 난 신치 깡고야디 아니 소수기 갈사다 까봅기 랭긴 차기도 하더라 랭긴 차고 어레스
The Buddha the remarkable being Buddha Shakyamuni, he engaged in a wide variety of beneficial activities to bring benefit to all beings, whomever they were, whether they were his students or not. So I myself, from a young age, have been a student of the Buddha. So I try and follow that example of the Buddha as best as I can, to try and be of benefit to whomever I directly encounter, or via others indirectly, to be of benefit to others. So I try and follow the illustration or the example of the Buddha. And this is something that we all can do. We can all act in a way that brings benefit to both those that we directly interact with, as well as actually through them, others too. And doing so brings benefit, of course, to those who one is interacting with, but certainly to oneself as well. That's all.
Terda dan niba mena ra suzu niba mandana chaz kemandos mato kayon chiung ra ani chomden di karna was kawa pep kawa shuna ya telaya ani pento tuyagi zeban zegores chomden di saja kawa la pemna ya saja telaya pembige ani kamena ya ani chalen ya tukya ani kawala shunaya and saja telaya penyaki tikanya nangadosra saja chila pemni saja telaya penataji ani penjure and the norburi chala chimbore to zupe tsulenchin saja shembachile kiagi ani tungdu di chomden delaya tsawini ta yomarwas ko saja telayebi mi 사자 텔레비 소착 사자 텔레비 무슨 존재야 펜비기 아니 제번제야지 모두 텔레야 네비기 저 참모점이야 좀 nendig nang 말해스 좀 nendig다 아니 그 연딘직이 디레스 로 다딩 난주이나 때 감투 주도 디치고 나스라 디치고 디 맞지 바나 좀 nendig 진주 내마치 좀 nendig 진주 양 다버지 야자야다 차고 말해스
But in Buddha's teachings, he was also very clear that whilst humans have this remarkable capacity, amongst humans, there are certainly differences in capacity. Though there are those who have incredible capacity to be of immense benefit in the world, and there are others who have various restrictions. So there is a variety in terms of capacity. Nevertheless, though, what the Buddha did present is whomever one is, whatever one's level of capacity is, where you are at any given time, one can be of benefit to those in your direct proximity. Moreover, through them, one can be of benefit to others. In others, by having a direct beneficial impact on those in one's immediate proximity, via the impact you have on them, your impact can spread through others. And Buddha Shakyamuni presented a remarkable example of this, in that wherever he went, he was traveling around ancient India, wherever he went, he brought benefit. He never harmed. And that, at the very least, is the example that we should follow. Wherever we are, we should ensure we bring benefit and do not bring harm. The way the Buddha brought benefit wasn't through taking resources from one place and then bestowing it to others in another place, but rather it was helping beings through the way he interacted with them, primarily teaching, but also by setting a faultless example with his behavior. So this is something that we can emulate with whomever we are, ensure that our behavior is beyond reproach, and so too with our speech, that we act physically, verbally, we engage with others in a way that only brings benefit. So this is an example that we can all follow. Or in this way, we can all follow the example of the Buddha. That's all.
Lomba shen le drocheni ani chu leya ben desan zambelingi ta chik ani chapsik bacho chapsik ta hajang gi chapsik ani marab chapsik sena politic
chapsi.
Yeah.
Okay.
아니 콘주 디치고라다 롱바직 촉점치 아니 디기 벤저 소소 롱발라케 디긴 튕긴도 소소 롱발라케 다디 미 가서다 간지 장부 맹행기 장부 침무퉁행기 미 자주지레마도 좀된 디기 진주지기 재단직 싸우니는 말아왔어 차고 말했어 좀된 디기 진주 가지고 좀된 디기 가는 거 가와 패나야 디기 뜻다 지금 무슨 순절이야 잠용나야 디 가와 패 가와 슈나야 소소 강 공기 권한기 강한 캠바티 강한 캠바티 아니 슈사 디기 아니 직다 무슨 수도 고 말되네 간지 엔 디기 로 미텔야 안 팔라비아티 삼반남다 팔라비아티 좀된 디기 내단 디렌도서라 당간 디 디치와나 대단 톰바지 아니 소소 가와 안 들어와이나야 아니 드로사텔야 펜토야 삼무시다 소소 가와 되나야 데사텔야 펜토야 삼무시다 페나 난저다 레가 칭이지 뭐나 수수 레가 제사기 답이기 진다게 지여라다 레공다 소다다 딘디여라 페는 딘디진 드베카들야 삼반남다 그 피기래야 추수 가주 치고엔 디르네야 원에 피기 진다들야 팽인 시바기 레가 제자와이나 디 좀된 디 쳐도 tum바지 차고 그랬어 아니 소수가 고야가 라차드네 다가라 라인 그랬어 또 지온디 피기 민tun이 지온디 레가 제사기 진다디인 바이나야 하장게 로라 파푸 민tun이 아니 메텔야 레가티야다 민tun이 페나 라차 빠르거나 가베응안에 빠르야틴지 로 융그로 와서로 다 피길란 드로추정가 투 레가지간 디아지 아니 진다딘 통금해봐이나 아니 랄레시 데데야로 소바당 간치바디 야부 마치야로 소바투 공론키는 드로바이나 다디 간지 세미 시비 람세디 로 좀든 디기 템비 세미 시비 람세디 자그어 말레스 팀 원니기 미 삼노 땅퉁인기 미지기 레가 말레스
Buddha Shakyamuni presented a particular example, a faultless example, that wherever he went, he benefits people, primarily through his speech, but also through his behavior. In other words, the way that he engaged with others only brought them benefit. It was never about what he could get from them, but always about what he could give of himself to them. So that's on the example that is presented for us to follow, the example that was set in order for students in later generations to follow. Now in our world, we can look around and see the more common examples, whether they are in accordance or similar to the Buddha or different, and then think for ourselves, which is the example we should follow. So we can take, for example, the example of politicians. So these are our political representatives. They've been elected to represent just one group, that particular group who voted for them. They will then have interactions with, in the Australian context, with other states or with other countries, and their motivation will be to benefit one side alone. And this can be expressed as taking advantage of others where they can, getting a deal that is best for those who vote for the politician, those who support the politician. And if others are left out, are harmed in some way, or if they don't get a fair go, then that seemed as okay. So that is a general example that we see in the political sphere. Certainly it's the example in the business world, especially when interacting with suppliers and so forth, looking for the best deal for themselves. And if that entails taking advantage of others, all the better. That is a very common way within our world. But it's not just those at the top of businesses and those at with the power of senior politicians who act in this way. So we can think of employers and managers of varying levels. How they relate to their colleagues, their staff, their customers. This is something that we can look at and ask ourselves, is that the example that I want to emulate? Or would I rather emulate the perfect example of the Buddha? And certainly there are excellent employers. those who do treat their staff fairly, or colleagues who interact with their colleagues in a way that's fair and honest, and then those who pay their staff well, pay them a fair wage, not trying to take advantage where they can. So there are different examples that we can follow. So those who have as part of their motivation, their way of engaging with others, seeking their own benefit first and foremost, they will justify this so easily. So from the Buddhist perspective, they are not cultivating a path of the four immeasurables, because they rather have as their basis, as their motivation, their own self-betterment. And if it comes at the expense of others, that's okay, and they will justify it. So we see these two different streams of example, and it's clear which is the better. Russell.
Terda ta pendo cheung dige pena pendo gyache ju yungro asra nganzu miji banza pendo gyache mu chetuya ge nibachik yora ta samlo tanya yore niba yora dinza nganzu ge miyu de gyache mu chikshach ani lega kharchi bayna ya miyu de chunjung mikse da masuna chunjung chinyeng mu da asra 산지점된 디게 나온 디게 섬전 탐지기 체도 산기 공방디 미윤 타두가 샤는 내가 치고 그래서 다 딜라운데 다 디나 만디버지 치요 말다 로 미유 딘디 샤는 내가 치온디 란신게 셈 톱슈디 로톱디 슈크체를 조기였어요. 로탄간줄 냠뇽 메디타디 용야 카요 삼송기 소와지데 용거데디 딩간줄 냠뇽 마사비 왕기레마도 아니 된당 뭐말에 ditsa원이 있어말이스. 그러 원리 셈디는 미 개침부 샤치네 내가 시바나 메델레 로도 샨다만데베기 로도 슈크체지 레고레스. 그러 딘자 미 개침부 샤고야디 아니 간주 미지 미차네 하장 개침부. 그러 베지 로징이 있어마임바 로베게 따지 갸타니 갸타 발레야 지 아니 펜도 용야기 미유 딘디치 셈니 수수 레가 치바이나 레가 들랍 침부 차고레스 로 데링 칼라라야 체드즈로지 레가 치바이나 안 데링 칼라데라디 타가라 수수 리바다 무슨 조로고로 왔으로 디마힘바 아니
Konta kena nyamin tempo kesong di petsen kalaki kola de yang kesong kan konta nyamin kesong keden petsen de kalaki kola yang
kesong 카르스나 난조기 단다 베나 심전 탐지기 체도 드르고레스 라원디 난조직 마무질라 데다 용야 카이 디 용마레 삼송게 로 심바지어라스 디 난조 냠뇨 마사레마도 원에 냠뇨지 사바이나 디 용사레스 아니 난조 미유 춘준지 심니 레가 제바이나 아니 야치무스케 용투고 말스 베나 데린 칼라라야기 체도 레가 제바이나 데린 칼라다라디 소수 리바도마서 조로로 왔어. 딘디키는 지기여서 말이었어.
그렇소. In many ways, Buddhism challenges us to look at ourselves with clarity. To the extent we do so, we come to recognize how we have been deceiving ourselves for so long. So in this, for example, we tend to think of ourselves as being quite powerless, as being small, as being weak, as being quite ineffective. And this may sound a little strange, but this is how almost everyone thinks of themselves in relation to what their actual capacity is. Those who have really looked well inside and come to recognize their remarkable human potential will know what they can achieve. So compared to such a person, the vast majority actually walk around feeling quite weak, quite small, quite timid, when actually compared to, and that is in comparison to the real capacity. So the Buddha taught that we as human beings really do have a remarkable capacity, and we have that capacity whether we recognize it or not. So here we are encouraged to look within ourselves and see what capacity we have and utilize that well, because at the very least, those that we interact with, we should interact with them consistently in a skillful manner, wanting to bring benefit. But what we encourage to do is develop a far more long-term, develop a more far-sighted outlook, looking beyond just the immediate benefit of those I'm interacting with, as well as looking beyond just those I'm interacting with, understanding that any impact I have on this person will have a greater impact beyond them. Moreover, the impact I have on this person, the impact will be beyond what I can perceive. So we need to think about this well to come to actually recognize our true potential, because how we limit ourselves right now, to give an illustration, if you are preparing your meal for lunch later, and you cook a meal just for lunchtime today, that's all the food you'll have. You're cooking one small meal. So that's like engaging in an activity with a very small motivation. Rather, what we should do is recognize our real capacity. And to the extent we do, we'll be able to engage in all our activities with a motivation of wanting to benefit, both those that we're directly interacting with, but all beings. We'll be able to have a genuine motivation of wanting to benefit all sentient beings. Because right now, this may be a motivation as Buddhists that you generate, but it's largely just it's quite empty. It's just an expression of words. But to make it real, one needs to look within oneself and recognize the remarkable capacity that we all have. And that these limitations that we feel are really just self-imposed. They are illusions that we believe. So what one tries to do in this reflection is to develop a deep strength of mind and inner confidence that these vast goals, such as wanting to help all sentient beings, these I can do. These I can do. So here, this is what we need to look at within ourselves, come to recognize our real capacity, come to know ourselves for who we really are. That's what can.
Pena, Tanganzo Zamblina, Pena Nanchu Tony, Ishabanata, talk beyond the Setoshu di Jawarmuji Chagoras. Jawarmuji Nanshinji, Jawarmuji the Tsenyamgi, Pen Nanshugi, Koto Yongi, Zamblina. The humorous special love to grace, and Jawarmuji Karsungo Reslavandi, Chicken Karan's Koya, Jawarmuchilia, to get Tamjashi said Songares.
Yeah, okay.
Tamjashi, Jawarmuchilia, Charlie Kitchishiki, Mando she used.
Also,
these Tindrich Songares, did I Karanzu Pish Koy Menang Motor.
From the perspective of Buddhists, or certainly from the perspective of the Buddha Dharma, if we look at who is the most outstanding of being, I would say undoubtedly His Holiness. He really is in our world incomparable. There is no comparison with him. There's no one quite like him in our world. So you've probably heard of that he has 4 objectives, 4 goals that he acts to fulfill. So you've probably heard of these before. That's all. Have you heard of these before?
And do what does the Kunyas? Odilda Yawarmuji Karsons Nanga Chuluk Bajres. Chuluk Bajres. 나 출루 바지 인장 니 출루 남편수 통부 용약에 아니 람된 최고야디 닌겐 담보드레스 아 닌겐 찍레스 담보다스나 닌겐 개체수 찍드레스 디송요레스라
Holiness says, as a religious person myself, one of my key priorities is to bring about ever more harmony between religious people. That's all.
그래, 디 성리하고 나는 배 마스가 개침보, 라 개침 뺀 당가 남바를 와다 남바 남비게 개롱치 대한치 다 게시지 미여라 당나 로제 아니 롱번 델 렙체니 아니 출룩 비게 직독자리 직 약보렌 로직 셰데바이나 다디 약보 싸우니는 말아왔어 라 닝가랑 출룩 델이야 샘딩니 대바요레 아니 델라얀 토모 마임비기 아니 케주 강요바디 아니 밀랑 오드치야디 딩가 톱당레스 마도 아니 출룩 셴바디 약부 마레세야기 독자레세야기 톱당디 ngal tsawni mewas te dindi jik she de ba na nanglo gandan roya chambu macha ya a gyujire ma de ti sukhan phento marwas ro
Interreligious harmony really is something of great importance. So taking myself as an illustration, I'm of course a Buddhist, I'm a monk, I'm a Geshe, and I've come here to Queensland, to Australia. And if I had come here and looked at other religions, meeting people from other religions, and criticized their religions, criticized their views that they hold dear, what benefit would have come from that? Really, how is that in any way good? I have come here to this country with such freedoms, and I have the freedom and the right to present the views and conduct of Buddha Dharma to those who are interested. But I don't have the right to go about criticizing others, pointing out the faults in others. That's not at all. And if I were to do so, really, what benefit would come from that? That's all.
자 베나 롬바델 용 아니 롬바디 나타 망슈디 아니 남바 마르와스 베나 유슈 배시 망슈인지라스 라 당이 유슈게 아니 출룩당 안 딘딜레야 아니 마가와다 마쿠바 체와이나 당가 롱반디나라 용니 펜비 찹레야 네버드야기 냥가체 여러스 디차와이나 미셴라 네바이나 세와리 세와 체바이나 아니 세미 시위기 람다 겔위요레 가와차기요레 딘 가와차나 좀된 디 공바던 가와차로 거레스 디차와는 좀된 디 진주 차기요 말레스 라 딘지 상당한데 여러분이 깔럽데 쇼 랍친 차고레스 아
I imagine in Australia, probably, or certainly in Australia, most people are not Buddhists, and probably most are Christian, and certainly of various religions. But if I'd come here and I was criticizing their views, pointing out faults and so forth, what benefit would have come from this? And moreover, such behavior would be contrary to the trainings in the Four Immeasurables, and moreover, it would not be the behavior of a Buddhist. His Holiness gives this advice regularly, makes this clear point that it's important that we bring about harmony between people, not criticizing and creating disharmony. That's all.
다 롬바델 용니 겨울무지 까고 난신 아니 산지 좀 된디 까고 난신기 비 난추 랍시 난니 아니 펜도 징 랍샤 망부여러스 디 소스 강 장샤바디 아니 롬바디 밀라야 삼반남다 그라테 남바 임난다 맨난다 코 아니 난주다 소스 강심바디 밀라파 아니 셰 아니 아니 셰시 밀라야 쿠십당 아니 디 미디 아니 지금 줄로 가리인 바이나야 텔레야 샘틴 90체 바이나 다디 좀 된디 공부는 좀 봐. 야월음지 공부는 좀 봐. 아니 소수기 다 미지임비 미 남주던 tum비게 다 아니 누버때한테 니차가 송스라 니차기도 왔으라
Die Tama de Nupa Gikola de Stirup Yankya Sungrakam? Die
라
Tama de Nupa Gikola de Yankya Sungrakam?
다 딘디기 삼로지 땅토바는 다미 남주디 배주 땅토야 니차기도 왔으라
His Holiness says quite rightly that the Buddha Dharma can bring benefit to all beings. There's no one for whom the Buddha Dharma is not suitable. Sorry, there's no one for whom the Buddha Dharma is not suitable. Therefore, for those, whether Buddhist or non-Buddhist, who have an interest, then it's for people such as myself to present them the Buddha Dharma. But, just a sec. Sorry. So it's responsibility for people such as myself to present the Buddha Dharma to those who have an interest, whether Buddhist or not, but to do so with a motivation of wanting to benefit, not of wanting and not of engaging in criticizing or deprecating or talking down to them if they have other views. So this is His Holiness not only gives this advice, but he sets the supreme example of this as well. And this is something that we all can do. It's within the capacity of us in terms of how we engage with others and how we engage with others in a genuine manner, that this isn't something contrived. This is something we all can do. That's all.
terda 다 망부시 쇼메라 테니 찍라야 야월음진가 로 미치레스 라 안잠블리 나라야 미 동규 든주 빌렌 düre dün gece yarısla var da diye kuş yarısı var dinang michigres yavrumji nga dinang michiginza ngin ro migi degi gi tolaya ani gen lengoyati nga michi imbichani ngin genres sonyores.
Furthermore, His Holiness said, our world now has about 8 billion people. Amongst these 8 billion, I am only one. I am only one. But nevertheless, it's my responsibility that wherever I can, in whatever way I can, to engage with others in a way that leads to their happiness. That's all.
terda romi degi gi tolaya samul dawndi yavrumji kalb karna gorsna zu chigdi trading tolaya koyuk songge gu tolaya ani kalb ta shu nangores ro nganju koyuk di yabu mebayna teledenbigi ta chi ani trading da nasa mambu yonyala soba ro ani 누구라 더 딘지 토니 야월무지기 아닌 잠블린 지 대등 토라야 투구슈 셰진 가와 페바이나야 먼저 아니 잠제 거야 톰부 거야 아니지 코유다가 직 촐라 땅샤바나 칼론 쪼바 차야라 소바 답변은 롬바 드바이나다 칼론베 야부로다로 미초기 거의 슝코랑게 아니 게 야부 키거래 아니 마망게 슝 람덴 나셴게 마망게 팀 야부 키온디게 코유티 짱만도 아스라 롬바 망불이야 강아체슈 코유 쪼바 찬로 추 쪼바 차야라 소바 데니지 아니 딱 사양 통영 용수 쪼바 추 쪼바 차서제라 아니 사양 통영 용수 쪼바 차로다스 로 아니 슝 코랑 팀 야부메 미망게 팀 마송 강아슈 테데 드리어라 딘지 마임바 야부 고당 돌아야 칼럽 쉬는 거다 대 망부태여스 자연서 다돌아 주다 야원지 차대부터 땡땡 제투 그래서
wherever His Holiness travels in the world, or when he talks to groups from varying parts of the world, you can be sure he will always encourage people to live an ethical life. Moreover, he will encourage people to take care of their environment. The environment is something that is crucial for all forms of life. If the environment is not cared for, it will impact on our health, will impact on our happiness of humans and non-humans, of all beings. So wherever His Holiness goes, or these days he tends to meet, people tend more to come to him, he engages them with love and care and with kindness, and encourages them to take care of the environment. And when he's interacting with those on the political level, he encourages them to fulfill their responsibility to look after the environment. But he doesn't leave this responsibility just with those with authority and power, but he also, when he talks to regular people, ordinary people, he encourages them to fulfill their own responsibility, to utilize their capacity to look after the environment, to take responsibility for the environment. And by environment, he makes it very clear. He's referring to our land, of course, the air too, and all water bodies. This needs to be cared for. It's imperative. And this advice, I'm sure you've heard many times because His Holiness gives it often. And if you look on the internet, you'll see even he has composed books about the need to care for the environment. That's okay.
Teta 직진아 nge shung yakburesladi kashi mago yonse da missing de samlon drag marasra and kashi shung la magang edin miyungora de kayo mara ine nganzu yagdan dug sedi yagbu da dugu sedi tön shago gores ra sanji tadu kora sanji bi tadu di kari yoba di tön shago mato and 마트와 적수지요 말했어. 배나 샤르다 눕세야디야. 아니 니마 샤르살 눕을 때네 샤르샤 그러면도 니마 눕사지면은 니마 샤르사디 용거 말았어라. 딘지 때네 샤관자 아니 지 롱바 셴다 셴기 숑라 때바이나 아니 ngaran수 내사기 숑다 하장 약부레스. 그러와. 딘지 상담바이나 아니 수수 오늘 약부레 상담 투약 비 차긴지라 그래서 디마도 지 민직사 찍고 니 상담 대바이나 되니 간니 이나 그 견통인 그래서 간점진 수수 사상인 바이나야 민직교 그 수수 사상인 바이나야 아니 그 견매바 비게 아니 자좀만 하신 그 사상이라고 말았어.
Dinge kunde kan dinge patenti satsam ki kola di tsik satsam hakajong ine di petsinge hakamajong.
사상
Ja, satsang hakajong.
아니 사상라야 견대바이나 사상들의 견통인 거로 아니 간점진 수수 사상다 마가와 차야져로 왔어.
Satsam sena intrike dokla nato border segere.
사상세나 패밀리레
Mitsang. Nangmi.
사상
Ale kunde. Nge gelkap ni barlak und so satsam yode. Nge di kosan.
산산말 사상
Okay, kunde.
야
Dene di chatsang kosan. Dene nge gotomsong. Dene nga sung yapore. Dene di yang mutene sung lokang di satsam kola.
지자 이 약부 인산이 통해 상담와는 약분 통투 그래서 약분면서 견구 총의 상담와는 아니 소수 사상라 있는 견통인 그래서 견 통의 상담대와는 아니 소수 사상 있는 견통진이 안 마가와 차도 그래서 이 약사기 통 상담와는 참을 약부 따투 그래서 하고
Gosso. In terms of political views and thought on any particular government, there people have a wide variety of thoughts. So on whether it's the Australian government, some people say, well, it's a great government right now. Others will say, oh, it's the end of the world. And likewise with other governments too. So this way of thinking, of saying in terms of, for example, with the government is, it's a good government or it's a bad government. Here, there's something important to look at here, that we can say the government is good, or we can say the same government is bad. That we can say this when we investigate, we see that it is merely an imputation by mind. It's a dependent arising. We merely label the government as good or bad. The government is not from its own inherent nature good or bad. If that sounds a little strange, let's take a different illustration. East and west. The sun rises in the east and it sets in the west. This doesn't happen by way of its own nature, but is dependent on labeling by mind. So that there is a sunset is dependent on there having been a sunrise. That there is an east is dependent on there being a west. So there's an interdependent relationship between things. So in terms of our government, any government, one can only say a government is good or bad in dependence on a wide variety of measures. Whether something, if there is something good, then there needs to be something bad. Otherwise, it would just everything be the same. Likewise, some people will see it in one way, others in another. So this is a vastly important topic to think about well, to understand how labeling works, and that something exists. It does not exist in the way that appears, but one merely labels it in a particular way. And if one can understand this in relation to a government, one can understand it in relation to our family. So or our family members, if we're having conflict with someone, or we're feeling very close to someone, this relationship is a dependence arising. And when we understand that the dependence arisings come about in dependence on causes. So by accumulating certain causes and thinking in a particular way, we can label something differently, and it will be valid to do so. And in this way, when we have thought about this well, our relationships with others, for example, with our family, or how we view the government, this is how we view it is something we can develop and cultivate, and thereby we can ensure all our relationships are harmonious, because our relationships are dependent arisings, and therefore we can have an influence on how we interpret, how we perceive a particular relationship. In this way, we can bring harmony to all our interactions with others, all our relationships with others. That's okay.
Hello. Where are you from? India. Excellent. And welcome here. And Tening Yaurumchigi, Chikarson Slavdi. Nalendrani Gubi, the Chutsul Joras, Nalendrani Gubi, Chutsul Jora, Region Jora, the Nalendrani Gubi, Region di Gaganalo Tarbainza, Tandichala Yaurumchi Gagala Shuyabanza, di Parkab Jilaya, and a region di Nyamcha Shuch Droyores, Muyunisal Droyores, and di region di Karso Cheagi, Gend Ngalandus, Tingend Niki Gondus, Sonyores. Going Gagajin del Person, this is Tata Kesos.
And a further responsibility that His Holiness strives to fulfill. And the timing to bring this one up is very good because of our Indian guest who has arrived, or our guest from India who has arrived. So His Holiness points out that the Buddhism of Tibet derived from India, and in particular, the Buddhism of Tibet arrived from the great Indian monastery of Nalanda. Moreover, His Holiness now resides in India. His home is in India. So therefore, he says it's extremely important because our culture, our customs, are all certainly our religion derive from Mother India. And therefore, we need to protect this. Moreover, I myself, His Holiness, as well as so many Tibetans, their home now is in India. So it's important that this remarkable Indian culture, which is the lineage that has that went to Tibet and pervades the Tibetan culture, it's imperative that this ancient Indian culture is preserved, and the preservation of it is my responsibility too, His Holiness says. That's all.
Tilda Gagan Nalindani Jubi Rishon Sachimbuti and in one tachi Zingyong Pelsum Sanakara Zimba Jongwa Belwa.
Belwa Hakosong, Zinka, Ere?
Johnson Dia
Ale Kyo Gosong, Durudo.
and Bell Tea one chinging the Tensan Tandi Chalan Zambalin area and a Pegu Nandin Batso the Annie Bemas vacation with Chagores. Ra Tenza Jaurumachigita one in Nalendani Tembi Tananganzu Delia Nalenda Pendruchudung Kushan the Pendrus Kunzugi and Gomba Nanshin Kunzugi pe and Lobjong Shize Nanshin and Tensan Zambali Nalolaya Yongi di Jaurmuchi Chagores. The Nanchi Shangor the Tindikaima Jaurmuchi Chagores. Ra Gumbuludu down Ayan Deva Pandan Dawatawala Sobi Nanshingi Kebach Nanchulan and Kebach Tusan Zambalina Seja San Droba and second Drovana Jaurmuchi on Tambu Chagarimado Shensuji Ra Drawdo Yosigramado Tilhaji Yomares in the Jaurmuchi to get this hitchin and he colored the Nangores. Tinsangazu Delia, Penruchudun Kushanti, Jaurmuchi Gomadu Tombachi Chagores.
His Holiness makes it repeatedly clear, and he has now for decades, that Tibetan Buddhism is the Buddhism of ancient India, of Nalanda Monastery. And therefore, now that so many Tibetans, including himself, are living in India, that it is imperative to preserve this ancient Indian culture and all its remarkable qualities. In fact, it's in the very hands of Tibetan Buddhists, or those who follow the Buddhism of Tibet, to ensure that this ancient culture, this beneficial culture, that it grows and flourishes. Because it's up to ourselves then to ensure that it does not generate, that at the very least it remains, but ideally it should remains remains constant, but ideally should grow and flourish. So therefore, His Holiness encourages all the monastic communities within Tibetan Buddhism to follow the example of the ancient Indian monastery of Nalanda, and to study intensely and cultivate the entire knowledge of the Dharma within oneself, and study these great masters, such as we have presented outside with the statues of the 17 Pandits from Nalanda, statues of Nagarjuna, Aryadeva, Chandrakirti, and study their remarkable text and gaining realization based on those texts. His Holiness encourages this. So, and throughout the Tibetan Buddhist world, the method of the ancient Nalanda is alive and thriving. And this is because of the encouragement from His Holiness. No one else brought this to the fore, but it's His Holiness who has made this so alive and vibrant and present in India and other places around the world today. That's all.
Terda Nanzudelia Nalanda Garden Shang and Pendruchudung could dendage to Sion Dige. Tingaran Sorora that sometimes the Sorva the Sorvarande in a do Sion Dige gyaga mirigla ro pendru solaya ngone ki pendru su song do solaya lobjong che ti tola ya samlo ta kon namba ge chik ta ani tukki dan jora kon nambe gi chamje jora ta chik ro mi chik sochala ya ani ro simjen tamje la ya chik sewi kyandang ge tukki dan ge lobjong ge ramba jora dindi tola song dang di ani ranshin ge ani gyaga mirigla ya 아니 구찌지 레기도 왔으라 나 콘졸레 이게 두스 단더발이야 나 야가트 온디 콘조 오네 까와 상부라 로시 까까랑 아딘디 상부더라 가서는 콘졸이야 오네 지금 공부루도 당 아리안데와 당 반덴 다와 트라바 야스치모 시발라 아니지 조지 반덴 아드샬라 소바데 콘조 아니 타 니우 쇼지 콘졸이야 타르긴 제와 여러스
Gossen.
아니 딘디기 전에 지 콘주 더발레 내렌티스 지 소자로 딜 피어라 나 딘디 삼당 그래서 오늘 지 네버 태나야 아니 야가르게 뺨주sol이야 지 피위 게서 갈 땐 톱시그로 와로 아 딘디 삼당 그래서
The statues we have of the 17 pandas from Nalanda that we have in our Nalanda garden. These were, of course, Indian people from this ancient monastery in India, which lasted for many hundreds of years. And that lineage of Buddhism continued to Tibet, but the people of the same family of these great masters are the people of India. So these masters from ancient India had remarkable qualities, incredible wisdom, love, and compassion that they had cultivated. And this monastery must have been a remarkable place, and the impact on all those that they interacted with, absolutely incredible. So thinking of these remarkable scholars and masters from ancient India, every time I meet someone from India, I immediately a feeling of closeness arises to them, because I see them as being like family members of Nagarjuna, or the children of one could say the children of Chandakirti. So this is my feeling whenever I meet people from India, and to have a tea and chat. This for me brings great joy, because it's really like being with the family members of these remarkable beings. That's okay.
테레 딘자다 간지 아주 딘디베 라 삼르십 사고 따네 라 소소 다 미징 반자 아니 톤롤리 캐버드 파바이자 톤롤리 캐버드 파베기지 아니 박추 가리 여바티 캐추 가리 여바티 아니 소소기베 제바체니 샘핀 니바니슈 티 템발라 샤니 아니 드로바이나 아니 차와 가리 제바이나야 차발랍진 셰투사레스 메진 디낭로베나 차발랍진 셰투야 아니 간주다 당한주 로고로 왔으라 라간주 페나 사니 니마샤리 용그레 사니 니마샤온디 사니 토라야 드링 인지미지 섬로지 땅고라다 사니 레가 토라 드링 이벌 섬 땅고 간스나 사니 니마지 샤리로 라 드링 니마 조로 사니 니마샤 용그레 사니 니미 토 드리 섬로지 마땅 바이나 에 디기요 마라 Tinashingi Dunta Jema, Dawa Jema, Lo Jema la Sobadi, Yungu Yobati, Ganzu Musu, Turgu Yobanza, Ganzu Chashi Shagorasra, Chashi Sha, Samdan Legachin Dogoras. Tinashingi, and Ganzu Tanda, and Shinjiri, Ganzu Gengo Chavi, Tuzuch, Sharsigres, T. Captulea, Pembi, Legaji, Ganzu Tandani, Samdan Gogores. Tinashingi, Ganzu, any big 니마지랑 간주 속 가도 그래서 속 가도 니모델이야 땡땡 남자 친구 아니 용식을 뒤출이야 마용이야기 쳐도 간주 단단히 로 간주 삼단투에 니바요리 간주 삼단투를 딩간주 땅고 그래서 니 tunroda 만다바 간주 디요반지 디 땅고 그래서 때 텔이 랍 총바이나 아니 깨워 치미 돌아야 삼로 땅 투바이나 아니 첸델이야 미천데 차이 뭐디 야채 야탐바레스 로 깨워 침미 돌아야 펜비 깨워 침말에 펜비게 삼루지 딴 레가지 제토바나 미디 미천데 차이 뭐디 당한지 야채 야탐바 랍토 그레스 로 어디 딘디 지금 들어봐야나 다 아니 소소 밀 깨비다 거든 천상으로 상거레스 로
In our world, there are vast number of beings, not just human, but animals and so forth. And in the animal kingdom, there are not just a vast number of animals, but so many different types as well. So we can develop a feeling of care towards them, a sense of closeness towards them, a sense of responsibility, a determination not to harm. And this is important to do. But there is one crucial difference between ourselves as human beings and animals, and that is the capacity to think, then one's intelligence. Human beings really stand out, are remarkable in terms of our intelligence. How we utilize our intelligence then is of great importance. It is our most precious possession. There are certain things that we can be quite certain of, that tomorrow morning the sun will rise and it will continue next week. It will continue for the next month and many years to come. So this we can gain certainty of. Also, we should think about in the same way that whilst we have this intelligence, life will continue around us, but we have the capacity to have a beneficial impact with everyone that we directly, as well as many that we indirectly engage with. So generally speaking, most of us are still relatively young, so we can now set plans for the years that lie before us. What will happen is death will come. We have no idea when, but it will definitely come. But there is a space of time between now and then. How long it is, we do not know. But between now and then, what is certain, as certain as the rising of the sun, is that we have a remarkable mental capacity, this incredible intelligence, unlike animals. So therefore, we should think, how can I be of benefit to others? And as well as the companion thought to this, not bring harm to others. This is important. Set a motivation that from now until the next sunrise, I will not harm. In fact, throughout all this, now until the next week, I will not harm. Month and year and so forth, I will not harm. In fact, I'll only benefit. And one here can make various plans about how one can develop and be of ever more benefit to others. And there's no reason to set as our goal that I will benefit throughout this life until I die. We can think beyond this life, because as certain as the sun rising tomorrow, and as certain as our death will come, as certain as that, we will take rebirth again. So we can make our plans and our commitments beyond this life, the determination to only benefit, to never harm, from right now until sunrise tomorrow, and sunrise the next day, and the next month, and the next year, and throughout this life, and throughout our future lives, can make such a commitment. Last one.
당연히는 뭐 콘솔라 벽에 돈을 취시 아니 개한선의 인지 돈을 취시기로 차가도 쓰라다 기규산에 됐어 그거라
네, 되는 기규 딱딱 랍기 예나면은 기규 코란 독바 오시야 이네 답세 제기
만다도 피하라 마스스게 기규야
네, the love good.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I'm here as someone talking about the teachings of the Buddha, presenting this teaching, but I'm doing it in Tibetan, and I imagine no one in front is actually hearing the teaching from me, and therefore not hearing my direct words. But you are from the translator, so in effect, it's kind of like he's doing the teaching.
Thank you. And children,
So thank you. But if you have some questions, then please do ask.
Yeah.
Final Lamrim dedication, page 10 of the small booklet. From my 2 tabs of merits pass a space that I have amassed from working with effort at this practice for a grand length of time. May I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose mind's wisdom eye is blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all life's Manjushri. May I find the best of complete graded paths of the teachings, and may I please all the Buddhas by my practice. Using skillful means drawn by the strong force of compassion, may I clear the darkness from the minds of all beings. With the points of the path that I have discerned them, may I uphold the Buddha's teachings for a very long time. With my heart going out with great compassion, in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread or once spread have declined, may I reveal this treasure of happiness and aid. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be granted boundless peace, and the Buddha's deeds be nourished for a long time. By even this graded path to enlightenment completed, due to the wondrous virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their sons, may all human and non-human beings who eliminate adversity and create conducive conditions for practicing the excellent path never be parted in any of their lives from the purest path praised by the Buddhas. Whenever someone makes effort to act in accordance with the tenfold Mahayana virtues practices, may he always be assisted by the mighty ones, and may oceans of prosperity spread everywhere. Thank you.